Salam. What we have here today is my second attempt to use Blender, and I'm trying today to make a head. I start with a sphere that I cut in half and add a mirror modifier in order to sculpt it symmetrical, exactly down the middle. I try to make the approximate shape, egg shape type head, and this does not go well for me. This is actually the second attempt. The first attempt was not recorded, and I end up deleting this because, as you can see, when I try and sculpt it, the symmetrical line when in sculpt mode is not the same. Um, and then I discovered that when you move on to sculpt mode, it automatically mirrors your sculpture, and I did not even need the mirror modifier, but okay, fine, whatever. So I start over with a new sphere, and I sculpt the approximate shape of a head with it. I subdivided the sphere to add more polygons to work with. At first, I'm treating as a doodle, as a sketch, and I'm trying to draw on it rather than sculpt it. And then I decide the placement of everything and I start to sculpt everything. I'm struggling at the beginning to just get used to this type of modeling, to just get used to three-dimensional type drawing, since I often just draw 2D. But I'm getting around. I'm starting to understand. I'm also starting to understand how to use the brushes, how to smooth everything. So now I'm not afraid um, of making everything so bumpy as I draw, because I know that I can actually smooth things later. So you can see me just drawing at first, and then I go ahead and sculpt what I drew and turn it into a 3D thing. I keep rotating this around. I think what really helped me to understand how to sculpt a face in 3D is that when I draw, I like to think of the 3D shape as I'm drawing. So I think I have some understanding of the 3D shape of a head and how it's supposed to look like from every angle. So I keep rotating it just to maintain that image of a 3D head that I already have in mind. I try to just take away bits of the model just a little by little before smoothing them. And I try to work very slowly. I redid the mouth. Obviously, the first mouth was way too down. It's the same mistake that I usually do when drawing. I usually draw the mouth is very low and then I pick them up. It's interesting how the same mistakes that I do in drawing actually appear in sculpting. I'm very confused when it comes to doing the eyes. I don't know how to do them, but I'm thinking either making them an independent object or just to actually sculpt them into this sculpture. Um, Later on, I decide to add spheres in and just model in the eyelids, so we'll see. I'm just prepping the face for the addition of the eyes before I put them in. It's interesting how the nose is the only thing that actually worked so easy from the start. Okay, so I'm going into edit mode, and this is how I try to add in the sphere. Because of how many polygons there are in my sculpture, it's very laggy and it's slow and it's hard to work with, and what I am actually doing right now is wrong. But don't worry, I will pick up on it. in a few moments. I can only move the sphere a little by little because of how laggy the software was. This is actually very sped up, and you can still notice me struggling and lagging. Anyway, this what I did just now is wrong. I'm gonna spend a little bit more time correcting it. Because now the sculpture of the head has merged with the sphere. I don't know how, but I cannot pick up the sphere on its own, so I'll have to pick it up polygon or vertice by vertice, just select it bit by bit in order to delete it, which a portion of the sphere is inside of the head, so that was a struggle, but I managed to do it. And now I'm going into layout mode and adding the the eyes that way, which was actually a lot more easy and faster to do, because of yeah, I mean, Blender was not as slow as it was in edit mode. Now I'm faced with a new problem. The eyes are not exactly on the same spot in the head or something. I don't know, but as try to sculpt the area around the eyes, it's not symmetrical, which drove me insane for a bit. I've been duplicating the eyes and moving them next to each other and I made sure that the snapping is on, so they are supposed to be exactly in the same placement. I did not understand why the mesh was not symmetrical, but luckily with a good Google search, I figured out that this is a common problem and that there is a button in Blender that automatically makes the mesh symmetrical, so thankfully that worked. Of course, not from the first try, but from the second try. Next, I continue to define the area around the eyes and forehead and drawing in the eyebrows. I moved on to working on the ears. I am aware that there are better ways to do the ears than this, that you can actually sculpt the ears as an independent object or a mesh and then you stick it onto your head. However, I'm enjoying the process and learning the software. I'm aware that this is wrong, and actually, I don't actually work the ears right. I give up before actually finishing them, but I am learning. I didn't have enough polygons around the ears to really define their shape, so I just smoothed them and left them as is. I notice here that there is no volume around the cheeks. I wanted to separate the lump between the cheeks and the lower eyelid, and that's what I do here, so that she can have a working three-quarters view. And this is it. Thank you for watching, and hopefully the next time things would look a little bit better. I am aware that this isn't perfect yet, but we are still learning.